Some stories change the way we look at art, and some women change the way we look at the world. In the past few months, I've been reading incredible books about women who shape modern art, and I want to share the ones that stayed with me. Let's begin with Gertrude Stein. I've read 2 books about her. Gertrude Stein has arrived, the homecoming of a literary legend, and her story still captivates me. It tells about a Jewish American woman who lived in Paris at 27 Rue de Florian, and there she hosts one of the most glittering artistic salons. The Stein began hosting regular Saturday night dinners for their artistic friends, and this place was like a mecca for writers and artists where they could exchange their ideas. Gertrude Stein was the one who bought the most famous and most scandalous painting, La Femme au Chapeau by Henri Matisse, for nearly 500 francs. It's now $100. It's worth it. Her guests included Ernest Hemingway, and everyone who read A Movable Feast knows who is Gertrude Stein. And more guests were like Scott Fitzgerald, Juan Gray, Georges Braque, and Pablo Picasso. She was one of the most important persons because she was the one who introduced Pablo Picasso with Henri Matisse. They were friends and rivals at the same time. The second book I read about her was the autobiography of Alice Douglas. It's exactly the autobiography of Gertrude Stein, written in the voice of Alice, her partner. And if you love Paris and the time of the 20th century, this book is for you. It is a mixture of a novel and an autobiography. What's so important and what's so beautiful about this book is actually that she tells about every guest who came into her home, and it was like a guest list in this book. And she wrote in the book that everyone brought someone to our place, and Pablo Picasso painted the most famous portrait of Gertrude Stein, where everyone thought like she does not look at her at all, but Pablo Picasso said that she will. It's true. When she became older, she looked exactly like the self-portrait. Another book that I really loved reading was My Name is Barbara by Barbra Streisand. This book is the book of the year of 2025. Barbra Streisand is one of the most famous actresses in history. She changed the world of art and the world of cinema. She has been described as Nefertiti, an ancient oracle, or a Babylonian queen. She produced, she directed, and she wrote also scripts like Yentl. She's not only an actress, she's also an art collector. She bought paintings by Matisse and also works by Amedeo Modigliani. She spoke about how Amedeo Modigliani moved her and how he painted from his soul. He was Jewish and she is Jewish, and that made the connection even stronger. In her book, she writes about a night in Israel where she had to sing while a painting was being auctioned at the same time. She tells the story of how she wanted to buy a painting called The Jewess by Amedeo Modigliani. And at that very moment, she was at the dentist. And she said, like, you can't start, wait a minute. The Jewess is actually the portrait of Maud Abrantes, the lover of Amedeo Modigliani. What's so interesting is actually that she even had a bump on her nose, and Barbara joked that she could have been like the muse of Amedeo Modigliani, but unfortunately she did not win the auction. The next time there was an auction, and Barbra Streisand, she had to sing for Shimon Peres in Israel. She sang Avinu Malkeinu. It's a prayer asking God to have compassion for us and for the children. After she finished, Shimon Peres came up to her and said, it was worth waiting 90 years to hear such a heavenly voice. And he even called her and said that you ignited this new wave for the Jewish nation. And while she sang, she won the auction, and her friend, I think it was Renata, she said that you won the auction. She could not believe it. But what happened actually with The Jewess by Amedeo Modigliani? You might know who is Robert Redford. He was one of the most famous actors of all time, my favorite actor. And he passed away, and he played the werewolf Barbra Streisand. And Barbara told him about the Modigliani painting, how desperately she wanted it, and how Modigliani was her favorite artist of all time, and how he moved her with the paintings. And Robert Redford told her that he did not want to be an actor, he wanted to be Modigliani. And Barbra told him that she lost the auction and she painted it by herself and she signed it with Barbra. He could not stop laughing. It's so interesting, like you should not be like only an actor, you can be also a painter and actor. It's like, this is the sphere of art, you can be everything. When the painting by Gustav Klimt, Elisabeth Leder, was sold for $236 million, she posted an Instagram post that she bought a painting by Klimt. It's called Rea Monk on her deathbed. She bought it for $70,000 and she later sold it and regretted it and said, "Never sell an art that you love. Never." And that's so right. The next one that I really recommend you to read is, of course, The Woman Who Says No by Malte Havik. I read this book, I think, like 3 years ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. I really recommend it for every woman. It tells about the muse of Pablo Picasso, Françoise Gilot, and she was the only woman of all the muses, all the lovers who said no to Picasso. And Malte Havik, he is a journalist and a writer. He came to her studio and she was nearly, I think, 90 years old. And they talked about everything, about life and about love and art. And for me, Françoise Gilot, she was one of the greatest artists of all time, and for me, a philosopher. She even described in the book, like while having a conversation with Malte Havik, that even if you make a mistake, never erase it with a pencil, because you did it. You can make something of it. It's like with making a mistake. We are all human, we make mistakes, and we have to acknowledge it, and we have to evolve. And one of the things that I never forget what she said was actually this: if you truly want to live life, you have to risk. And if you risk something, you will experience many things, painful things. But above all of it, you will learn and you will never become boring. And that is the worst thing of all, becoming boring. Another book will be a book by Lisa Alter. It's called About Women with Françoise Gilot. It's like a private conversation with a friend, and it emphasizes about everything, like about femininity, about ideology and culture. For example, Françoise Gilot, she explains in the book that her father always wanted to have a son, and she was only the only child, and it was really a hard time in her childhood, and she was raised like a professional woman, and it's also like painful, to read this and not experiencing this womanhood with. But what I loved about it was actually that you are immersed in this world of women, and I really recommend you to read this. The next one will be a book by Paulo Coelho. It's called The Spy. Her name was Mata Hari, an exotic dancer and a courtesan who was accused of being a spy during World War I for Germany. She moved forward with courage, willing to pay the price she had to pay. Dancing is a poem, which each movement represents a word. In Mata Hari's life, the body became language and movement became confession. She lived in a world that desired her, judged her, and finally condemned her. Through her story, Paulo Coelho reflects on her freedom, on her femininity, and the cost of living truthfully in a time that feared independent women. The next book will be The Mistress of Modernism, The Life of Peggy Guggenheim. It is a fascinating book about women who changed modern art, and Peggy Guggenheim was one of them. Peggy Guggenheim was rich, independent, and she was an American, and she lived also in Paris, and she established the most famous collection, the Peggy Guggenheim collection, which is now in Venice. And she supported artists before they became famous, and she did not care about money. She wanted to support them. And one of them was Max Ernst and Jackson Pollock. What makes this book so fascinating is actually that they talk more about the woman behind Peggy Guggenheim. She grew up without a father. He died at the famous catastrophe Titanic, and she always searched the father figure in her life. And I think she found the comfort also in art. So if you want to know more about, Peggy Guggenheim, this book is really for you. It is a good book for anyone who loves modern art and strong women who lived life in their own way. Yeah, and that was it. These were one of my favorite books about women and art. I hope you will read them, or if you read them, let me know. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.